right, hey, what's going on, guys? Run a bunch here, bringing you another installment of the most under the radar sports betting, sports talk show on YouTube. Guys, let's go ahead and get right into another awesome episode. I have a ton of picks for you guys again this Wednesday. We are here. It's April 7th. Guys, let's go ahead and get into the episode. Now, first things first, I do want to apologize if I have the fan on here in my room, so if you see some kind of like some staticky type stuff going on with my camera here, it's because the fan is moving in the background. But my room will get up to sometimes it feels like 85 or 90 degrees if I don't have some kind of like fan on. So that is why I have that. I don't want to sit here and be all sweaty in front of you guys. So that's why I'm doing that. So apologies if you kind of see some like camera interference or camera like staticky like area like up in here, but that's just the way it has to be. Guys, going to go ahead and start the episode today with some Major League Baseball picks. A lot of good games for today. Very excited about this slate for today. Let's go ahead and get right into it. All right, guys, so I only have one Major League Baseball pick for today. A lot of the games that I like are unfortunately earlier than 5 p.m. There's a few games on at like 4 o'clock. So, if this video comes out in time and, you can make some live bets, I do like the Cardinals money line versus the Miami Marlins. Cardinals have won 2 straight against them, and I like them to sweep that series. And the Padres money line versus the Giants. I also like if there's any kind of like Blake Snell props involved with him pitching. That guy's an animal. That's why I mainly like the Padres to win tonight. But both those games are at like 410, 430, somewhere in there. So I don't really feel like making actual picks on those, but those are games that I definitely like. So the one game I am making the pick for this evening, as you can see here, it starts at 8:40 p.m. I like the Arizona Diamondbacks money line versus the Colorado Rockies. Now, as you can see here, the Diamondbacks 2-3 start, not the best start in the world, but the Rockies are 1-4. And honestly, a reason for picking them right now, the odds are basically even on this game, and I understand why, just because the Rockies are at home, and I think in recent years they've tended to play better at home, but the Diamondbacks have Madison Bumgarner, which he's a little bit of an older Madison Bumgarner, but Madison Bumgarner is an absolute beast on the mound. This guy, he's won World Series in the past with the San Francisco Giants, and I really like what he brings to the table. Now, in his last outing earlier in the season, he didn't get a win, but he didn't get a loss. I just feel like the relief pitchers kind of lost him that game. So also wouldn't be against the first 5 innings betting for the Diamondbacks. Let's see what the odds are for that. So actually the Rockies are favored in the first 5 innings, which is very interesting to me. I would actually look to bet on the Diamondbacks for the first 5 innings because I think Madison Bumgarner is that legit. But definitely like them to win the game as well. So guys, that's basically my reason for this. Like I said in the past, there's not much statistics on teams at the moment. I think at the very beginning of the season, the first couple weeks, you kind of have to look at the pitching and who's going to be on the mound and, what they've done in the past. And, Bumgarner's past has been very good. Even though he's a little bit older, I still like him to get, the win here today. And I also really like the first 5 innings as well. All right, guys, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the NBA tonight. And there are a lot of games tonight. I have 3 picks for you guys that I really, really like for this evening. I think that they are surefire picks. I've done a lot of research, crunched a lot more numbers as we're getting later into the season, and I think that these picks have a lot of very good value on them, and I think they can make you guys a lot of money this evening. Now, first game of the evening, here at 7 p.m., I like the Minnesota Timberwolves +2 at the Indiana Pacers. Now, obviously, Timberwolves 13-38 here, while the Pacers are 22-27. The Pacers definitely have a much better record. And both teams statistically are not great against the spread, but This may come as a surprise to a lot of you guys, but losing teams can also have a very good record against the spread as well. And the Timberwolves are one of those weird cases of that instance. Even though they're 13 and 38 here, the Timberwolves are actually 23, 27 and 1 against the spread, which isn't great, but it's not, like their overall record that's horrible. And the Pacers are currently sitting at one of the top two worst teams in the NBA against the spread. They're sitting there alongside the Houston Rockets. They are 19 and 30 against the spread. And actually at home this season, the Indiana Pacers are a horrid 6 and 17 against the spread, that's awful. That's terrible. So I like the Minnesota to cover and maybe even win this game. The Pacers don't have Malcolm Brogdon. He's out. And Domantas Sabonis and Miles Turner, who are two of their very dominant starters, are questionable, especially Miles Turner on defense. I just really like the Minnesota Timberwolves in this scenario. Whether those two play or not, I like the Minnesota Timberwolves, but if those two are listed as out later, this spread could also change significantly towards Minnesota's line. So I would definitely get this +2 while you guys can before the game starts. All right, guys. So my second game for the NBA this evening, I really like this one. There's a lot of statistical data to back this number up, but I like the New York Knicks and the Boston Celtics to go under 210 points, which now it seems like it's moved to 209.5. I still like that number. You can get that at BetMGM. That seems to be the best number. A lot of other places are moving even lower. People are definitely taking the under. 51% of the bets are on the under. I would love to be able to see the money, but obviously I'm not paying for the pro version of this app. A lot of statistical data to back this one up, guys. This game could see some historically slow pace, considering the Knicks have been the second slowest team in the NBA in terms of pace their last 10 games, and the Boston Celtics are the 12th slowest team in pace in the NBA the last 10 games. And Boston just played last night in Philly. It was an absolute grind of a game. They lost by 10, but Philly really wore them out, and they're playing a back-to-back. They're flying back to Boston today, I'm sure, or last night, and having to come back and play a New York Knicks team that's definitely not a bad team. Both these teams are the same record, 25 and 26. I don't think the Celtics match the Knicks intensity, so I think the Knicks will be able to have their way with the pace of the game. I definitely don't think the Celtics will be able to speed the game up. And I don't even know if they necessarily want to do that because, they have tired legs from last night. And also, I just expect both teams to want to slow things down a ton because the Celtics are tired and that's how the Knicks like to play. They're a very defensive, tenacious type team. And also, the Celtics are 14 and 10 at home this season to the under. And on the road, the New York Knicks are 17, 9 and 1 to the under. So both teams are actually favorable towards the under. And typically when two teams that like to play the under play against each other, it tends to go to the under as well. So, there's not really I think both teams want to play that slower pace. And I do think we will see an under tonight. So even though the number is at like 209, 210, I still like the under. That definitely seems a lot lower than it should be, but I like whoever gets to 100 first in this game probably will win. I really like this number a lot, guys. All right, guys, so my last pick in the NBA for this evening, pick number 3, is going to be the Phoenix Suns +1.5 versus the Utah Jazz. Now, guys, I know we've been picking with the Jazz a lot lately. The Jazz are a heck of a team that covers, but surprisingly, the Phoenix Suns here, both their records are very similar. The Suns are 35 and 14, and the Jazz are 38 and 12. So the Jazz have a slightly better record, but the Suns actually just took over last night, or it might have been Monday night, but either way, this week sometime, they took over the Utah Jazz for the best against the spread win percentage in the NBA. So the Suns are 32 and 17 against the spread, which is pretty insane. That's actually a very good number. I mean, the Jazz are great as well, obviously. They're 31, 18 and 1 against the spread. So two very, very good teams against the spread. But what did it for me, the Suns are at home tonight, and Phoenix typically wins most of their games at home. And the Jazz, despite that 31-18 when won against the spread, on the road this season, they're just a 500 against the spread team at 13-13. And you're playing against a really good Phoenix team. I mean, Utah does have the number one record in the West, but Phoenix is not far behind, honestly, in terms of their win percentage. So I like the Suns to get things done this evening. The Suns are currently on a 5-game win streak, and I expect them to extend that to 6. They're playing extremely well, firing on all cylinders. Their bench is getting really into the game. A personal fan favorite of mine, Javon Carter. He's been getting a lot more playing time. He's been doing a lot better. It just seems like everything for them has been clicking. Chris Paul is a low-key, guy that could get some MVP votes this season. If he scored a little bit more, he'd probably be more considered for that award, only averaging 16 points a game. But he has really brought another level of, championship, or at least maybe not championship, but contending pedigree to this Phoenix Suns team that I really think is just missing like one piece maybe from being a real championship contender to compete with like the Lakers and the Clippers and the Jazz. But I do think that they win at home this evening. Okay, guys, so moving on from the NBA, we're going over to the NHL to get some hockey for you guys. I have one pick for this evening. I'm going with the Arizona Coyotes money line versus the Los Angeles Kings. Now, it's very interesting because the Kings are favored in this situation, but as you can see here, the Coyotes are 19-15-5, which, I mean, obviously is a much better record than 14-17-6. So the Coyotes had the better record here, and the Coyotes as of late have been on, they've been trending in the right direction in terms of, they've won 4 of their last 5, and to put this, the Kings are on the wrong direction, I guess. They're kind of trending down as they have lost 4 of their last 5 games, including the other night they lost to Arizona 5-2. And I don't know, I kind of just feel like the Coyotes are really kind of starting to figure some things out. They had some injuries, and guys are starting to come back for them. And I just feel like they're going to get a second road win against the Los Angeles Kings this evening. And I think, really my main reasoning for this pick is that the Coyotes, have a winning record and they're underdogs on the road. And I think there's just a ton of value here, plus 101, plus 100. I think you can make a decent amount of money off this pick. And I think the risk is definitely worth the reward. I would say this is probably my least confident pick of the evening in terms of, NBA, MLB, everything. But I really like the Coyotes' value tonight, and that is who I am picking for this game. All right, guys, so next we're moving on from the NHL. I wanted to bring you guys some golf news. So, this is an awesome time for sports as this is Masters weekend, which, I mean, even if you're not super into golf or anything like that, the Masters weekend is truly something to, it's definitely a sight to see. Everyone loves the Masters. The Masters is a huge, probably, I would say, probably the biggest golf venue of the year for sure. And I wanted to bring you guys 5 guys to 5 guys. Not bringing you guys any burgers, but 5 players to watch out for to win this tournament. There's 5 golfers that I really, really like to win this one. I definitely can see reasoning for betting all 5 of them. And obviously, I mean, several of them are up in the, top, lines. They have the best odds because I think a lot of people would agree with these numbers. Now, so the first guy I'm going to talk about here is going to be Jordan Spieth. And Jordan Spieth is right here. The best line for him right now is plus 1,300. And it looks like most places are listing him at plus 1,100. So that means if you put down $10 on Jordan Spieth, you'd make 110, which is extremely good value, but that's just kind of how it is in golf. And the reason I like Jordan Spieth is because this is a guy that has a lot of championship pedigree, but really had been kind of on the downhill spiral the last few years. And just recently he won a week or 2 ago. I'm not exactly sure what the tournament was, but he seems to kind of found his game again. And a lot of times when guys do that, they continue to stay hot for the remainder of that golf year. So I'm hoping that with this case, he can continue to stay hot from his win that he just had a week or two ago. And he's a guy that he's got a lot of championship pedigree. He's won several majors before. He's a guy that can do it again. I'm not sure if, now that I think about it, I want to say he has a Masters win, but I'm not exactly 100% sure. But he's definitely a guy that I could see winning this tournament this weekend. Now, my second guy that I look for, so there's some numbers behind this, and there's also just some crazy bullcrap type statistic that I think is really funny, that surprisingly it does work out more than you think. I like Jon Rahm sitting here. Now, he has slightly better odds, but you can find, a lot of these guys have very similar odds. Jon Rahm, the best odds you can get right now are at plus 1,200 on FanDuel, which is a site that I actually can credit. And it looks like most other places have him right around plus 1,100. So at plus 1,200, if you bet $10, you make 120. So once again, very good value on a guy that has, definitely won some tournaments in the past, has some majors. And, Jon Rahm has really elevated himself in probably the top 10 category of golfers at the moment. And I would say one reason I really like this guy, he just had a son this past weekend. Baby was just born, and for some reason, I don't know where this statistic comes from, but in the last 5 years, there's been about, I want to say it was 7 or 8 players that have had kids, and of those 7 or 8, I think 5 of them have finished either in the top 3 of a tournament, of a major, or have just won the whole thing. So I kind of like that weird, superstitious type statistic to back up players, especially because Jon Rahm's no scrub. He's very good. He definitely has the talent to win this match, but also it's just a funny little statistic to throw on top of that. But so far, Jordan Spieth, Jon Rahm, and my third guy, actually, it seems like he has great value, is down here, way down here, Cameron Smith. Now, Cameron Smith is a guy that last year finished second at the Masters, and people really like him because he was actually the first player in history to hit below a 70 on all 4 rounds. But it just so happened that DJ, who am I thinking of here? Yeah, Dustin Johnson. He just outplayed him. He just had 2 really, really good rounds. But I definitely think Cameron Smith is a guy you can see potentially improve his game that he had, last year. But also, you could claim that, he can't really do much better than what he did, and he still lost. So, you could also, argue that. But the value here, there's a lot of, you can get plus 4,000 on BetMGM. A lot of places have him over 3,000 odds. So that would mean if you bet, now that I think about it, I think that, let's see, I believe if you bet $10, you would get, I want to say it's, yeah, so if you put $10 on Cameron Smith, you would get $300, which is wild. Yeah, that sounds right. $1 would be 10, so 10 would be 100. Yeah, guys. So if you bet $10 on Mr. Cameron Smith here, you would get 330, 390, 400, that kind of thing. So crazy, awesome odds here on Cameron Smith. He's definitely a guy that I would watch out for. Obviously, you could argue that he can't play much better than he did last year, but you can also argue that, he can play just as well, if not better, and with a year's practice on the same course. So he's definitely a top 5 guy that I want to watch out for sure. So Jordan Spieth, Jon Rahm, and Cameron Smith. Now, next guy, very popular name, sitting here, Rory McIlroy. So best odds for him right now are at plus 1900. So if you bet $10, you make 190, and you have all of those here. Now, basically, Rory, the reason why I like Rory so much, Rory, he's a little bit of an older golfer, but he's been around for so long and he's won so much. He's kind of like Jordan in a sense that he's been a little bit down lately, so he really has nothing to lose. And he just hired a new coach, new, I guess not golfing, but like hitting coach, I guess. He's trying to get a better drive, and hopefully that shows up in this tournament. And I think he's, kind of a under the radar dark horse type guy to win this tournament. A lot of people seem to like him, like his odds here, but he's definitely a guy that you could look for to potentially win this tournament and, reclaim another Masters victory. So my last guy, very heavily favored here. He's not the favorite, but Bryson DeChambeau. Now, some people, this guy's not very liked in the golfing community. I think a lot of people respect his game, but also I think he gets under people's skin, and I kind of like that about him. And it looks like the best odds you can get for him are at plus 1100. $10 would be 110. And there's some places here they typically have that plus 1000 range there, on DraftKings, and he's definitely a guy that could win this tournament. He has been absolutely just smacking the ball, and a guy that can drive the ball well at the Masters definitely has a better chance of winning that tournament. And Bryson has just been one of the best golfers in the past few years. He's definitely up and coming. He's right around that 24, 25-year-old range. So he's been around for a few years, so he definitely knows the course. And he's a guy that I don't believe has a Masters win yet, but could pull it off in this tournament for sure. So like I said, guys, Jordan Spieth, Jon Rahm, Cameron Smith, Rory McIlroy, and Bryson DeChambeau. Those are the 5 that I really like to win the Masters tournament. And obviously, you got to give Dustin Johnson, Justin Thomas, those guys credit. Definitely Xander Schauffele for sure. You got to give them credit, but I like the 5 that I named for sure. If you guys like anyone better, definitely leave your comment in the video as to who you like and why you like them. And, I could definitely agree or disagree with what you guys say for sure. But those are who I like for the Masters this weekend. So guys, that's pretty much going to wrap things up here. Just a quick recap of what we did on Monday. So Monday we went 4-4. We went 1-2 in Major League Baseball. There were some tough breaks that, I don't necessarily blame myself for that, but just baseball is pretty unpredictable. So some things happened and, it just didn't go the way we predicted necessarily, but can't say we were super far off. But 1-2 for Major League Baseball, 2-1 for the NBA. The Utah Jazz kind of screwed us over. They just did not play up to what the Mavericks were playing. The Mavericks played extremely well and shot the ball extremely well. So sometimes that happens. And we went 0-1 in the NHL, and we also went 1-0 to finish off an absolute unbelievable NCAA basketball tournament. Congratulations to Baylor. As a WVU fan, it kind of stings a little bit to see them win, as we played pretty toe-to-toe with them for the entire season. But, they were definitely the best team in college basketball for sure, I think. I definitely don't think Gonzaga was overrated. I think that Baylor was just, as shockingly as it may seem, I think they were a little bit underrated. I think people kind of saw them flying in under the radar compared to Gonzaga. So I think if a lot of things didn't happen with COVID and, their team getting COVID and having to take 3 weeks off, they could have very well been an undefeated team and the number 1 overall seed that we were looking at to be the favorites for sure. But I definitely think that they'll lose several guys to, the NBA draft. I saw that I think it's Davion Mitchell already declared, and I think they will definitely lose Jared Butler and a few other guys as well. So we probably won't see that core Baylor team back, and I think they'll definitely be a lot worse next year. But, hats off to them. Definitely a solid campaign. I think they only lost 2 or 3 games all season. So obviously definitely a team for the history books. But anyway, guys, that's going to wrap up this episode. Like the video. I work really hard to look up all these statistics for you guys, and it would be nice if you guys like the video to show some appreciation, and also subscribe so that way you guys can get notifications of when these videos go up. I post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday before 5 p.m. unless something comes up. If something comes up, I typically post on my Instagram story to tell you guys that something came up. So yeah, guys. Other than that, all you sports betting and sport fanatics out there, have a great Wednesday, and cue the outro.